Welcome back to Auto Review, where we bring you the finest breakdowns of classic and modern rides. Today, we're throwing it back to the mid-70s to talk about one of the most controversial Mustangs ever made, the 1975 Ford Mustang. A car that marked a shift in philosophy for the Mustang brand. The 75 model was part of the Mustang II lineup, a series that's either hated or appreciated depending on who you ask. Let's take a deep dive into its exterior, interior, performance, and how it fares today in the classic car market. Starting with the exterior, the 1975 Mustang was a far cry from the aggressive, performance-oriented look of the late 60s muscle car era. It was smaller, lighter, and clearly influenced by the fuel crisis of the early 1970s. The fastback design was replaced with a more compact hatchback or coupe body style. The car rode on a Pinto-based platform, which was evident in its proportions. The front featured a short, sloped hood and a split grille design with the classic running horse emblem still centered up front. Square headlamps and simple chrome bumpers gave it a more conservative appearance compared to earlier Mustangs. One of the standout changes in the 1975 model was the introduction of a wraparound rear window on the hatchback version, adding a bit of flair to the rear profile. You'd also notice the federally mandated 5 mph bumpers, which extended further out and were wrapped in chrome. The body lines were clean but not aggressive. It looked more like a sporty commuter car than a full-on muscle car, which is exactly what Ford intended for this generation. Now moving on to the interior, the 1975 Mustang offered a mix of economy and comfort. Inside, the cabin was surprisingly refined for a car based on the Pinto platform. You had bucket seats with decent bolstering, and for the time, the material quality was respectable. Vinyl upholstery came standard, while some higher trims offered cloth inserts and even simulated wood grain on the dashboard and center console. The dashboard was simple and functional. A 2-pod instrument cluster featured a speedometer and fuel gauge, with optional gauges for temperature, oil pressure, and amps. The center stack was clean and typically included a basic AM/FM radio, and if you were lucky, an 8-track player. Air conditioning was an option, and while the controls were straightforward, they didn't always function with pinpoint precision. The rear seats were tight, especially in the hatchback model, but could fold down to increase cargo space, making the Mustang II more practical than its predecessors. It was clearly designed with efficiency and economy in mind, offering more of a personal luxury feel than outright performance. When it comes to performance, the 1975 Mustang certainly took a step back compared to the earlier Mustangs of the late 60s. The base engine was a 2.3-liter inline-4, producing just 83 horsepower. For those wanting a bit more power, there was a 2.8-liter V6 option with around 97 horsepower. But the most notable option was the return of the V8, a 5.0-liter 302 cubic inches small block V8 that produced 140 horsepower and 250 pound-feet of torque. It was a welcome addition after the 1974 model had no V8 option at all. Even with the V8, performance was modest by Mustang standards. 0 to 60 times were in the 9 to 10 second range, which was decent for the era but far from the muscle car glory days. The car came with a 3-speed automatic or a 4-speed manual transmission. Handling was tighter than previous Mustangs, thanks to the shorter wheelbase and improved suspension, but it was still far from a sports car by today's standards. Braking was adequate, with front disc brakes and rear drums. However, where the 1975 Mustang shined was in its fuel efficiency and market relevance. In an era dominated by gas shortages and emissions regulations, the Mustang II was a practical solution that kept the Mustang name alive. Ford sold over 180,000 units that year, proving that the shift in direction had a willing audience, even if it meant sacrificing performance for economy. Now let's talk about the pricing and current market value. Back in 1975, the base price for a Mustang II Coupe started at around $3,800, while the V8-powered Gear Mach 1 variants could push closer to $4,500, depending on options. Adjusted for inflation, that's roughly $20,000 to $25,000 in today's money, a pretty affordable entry point for a sporty 2-door car. Today, the 1975 Mustang doesn't carry the same collector value as the late 60s models, but it's gaining attention from enthusiasts looking for unique or underappreciated classics. Prices for well-maintained examples typically range from $6,000 to $12,000, depending on condition, originality, and whether it's a V8 model. Restored Mach 1s or low-mileage Dia trims can fetch higher prices, especially if they're fully documented. In conclusion, the 1975 Ford Mustang may not have been the muscle car hero fans hoped for, but it was a product of its time, compact, efficient, and affordable. It kept the Mustang brand alive during a turbulent era and has slowly carved out a niche among collectors who appreciate its uniqueness. It's a classic worth a second look, especially if you're into 70s automotive history. Thanks for watching Auto Review. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the 1975 Ford Mustang, hit that like button, subscribe for more classic car reviews, and let us know in the comments what car you'd like us to cover next. See you in the next one.